Borachot habaot, ladies, and welcome to another edition of Torah Anytime. It's so amazing that you're back again, and also for joining Ohel Sarah. We're always happy to have you. We are today continuing our Shalom Bayit series with the characteristics of man, part 2. We've already covered part 1. We're continuing now with part 2. So we've got a lot of work. So we're going to get started right away. Today, like we said, we're going to discuss the attributes of man. So the question is, who has more rachamim, a man or a woman? It's a man. Where is it written? When we davened on Yom Kippurim, we recited a particular phrase. We said, Rachem alenu kerachem av al banim. We asked Hashem to have mercy on us in the manner that a father has mercy on his children. Interesting that, why doesn't it say kerachem em al baneha, that he should have mercy on us like a mother has mercy on her child? If Chachamim chose the words kerachem av al banim, it must mean that the ultimate compassion is that of a father. So the question is, why is it that a man is more merciful than a woman? We got to find out. So we're going to discover something extremely profound that's brought down in the Zohar Kadosh. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Alav Hashalom writes that a woman is not as merciful as we think. What does this mean? We see this concept embedded in her name. Now, who was the first couple in history? Adam and Chava. In order to understand the modern day couple, we always have to go back to the first couple in history. The Zohar Kadosh says that each of their characters, the man and the woman, are embedded in their names. Ish and Isha. We have an Ish and we have an Isha. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, only when you have an Ish and an Isha can a child be born. The Gemara says, Shlosha shutafin hen ba'adam. A person, a child, is created via 3 partners. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God, he's the first partner. Aviv ve'imo, the child's father and his mother, its biological, physical father and mother. The father contributes to the baby, according to Rabbi Shimon, the white of the eyes, the sinews, and the bones. So the father contributes the color white in the baby's body, everything that's white. The mother contributes to the baby the flesh, the blood, and the liver. So the mother contributes the color red, which represents the reddish colors of the organs that she helps to create in the child. So your child's physical makeup is made up of partially white parts and partially red parts. And the combination of the red and white creates the pink organs in the body of the baby. So the baby is comprised as a result of a combination of his father and mother. If a father and a mother help to create the body of the child, what does a Kadosh Baruch Hu contribute to that baby? The baby's neshama. Now watch this, ladies. If a man contributes the white and the woman contributes the red, what does white symbolize? It symbolizes Achamim. So the father donates to his child the attribute of mercy. A mother contributes the color red. Is red considered din or Achamim? It's din. It's strict justice in the world. We see from here that the mother donates to the child the world of din. Now, let's delve even more deeply into the word ish. Ish is spelled Aleph, Yud, Shin. Isha is spelled Aleph, Shin, Hey. We know the famous Midrash, if we remove the Yud from the man and the hey from the isha, from the woman, what word are we left with? Esh. Chachamim said, ish ve'isha zachu, shchina shora benehem. If a man and a woman are zoicha, they're worthy, they have a good relationship, the shchina dwells between them. Lo zachu, esh ochaltan. If they're not worthy, a fire consumes them. But if they're zoicha, the yud returns to the man, and the hey returns to the woman, and they're once again ish ve'isha. But when the yud and the hey flew the coop, the fire of arguments and strife begins to ignite, and it burns down and destroys the entire relationship. Now this we all know and learned when we were already back in high school. But let's learn something deeper. The Zohar Kadosh reveals a profound secret, ladies. Both the man and the woman have the element of Esh within them. This we see, they both possess the attribute of Din, because Esh symbolizes the Din in the world. They both have an Aleph and a Shin. But notice something very interesting. When the Yud of the man returns, it situates itself in the middle and then splits the fire in half. Splits the word Esh in half, where the Aleph is here and the Shin is there and the Yud is in the middle. The Aleph becomes separated from the Shin, which means the fire is subdued. The Din disappears in the man by virtue of the fact that the letter Yud separates the Aleph from the Shin. But by the woman, the letters Aleph and Shin remain close together, right next to each other, and the Hey is situated at the end of the word Isha. So she retains the attribute of Din. She is Din, Esh, Hey. There's nothing that separates her fire. She's Din, she's filled with fire. And by the way, Chachamim say that it's good that a woman is less merciful than a man. Why? Because who is it that spends most of the day disciplining the kids? The father or the mother? The mother. Tell me, if the mother would utilize compassion all day long, and when she sees tears on her children's faces, she'd fall apart. She wouldn't be able to educate or discipline her children properly. The mother stands firm in her beliefs of the value system in the house. She's the one who maintains the order in the home. Think of it this way. Think of it this way. Imagine if a 6-year-old at 4 p.m. decides that he's going to be wild and act out. And then he turns to the mother and he says, "Give me a snack." The mother says, "You're not getting a snack, tzaddik, because you don't deserve a snack after the way you behaved." So he says, "If you don't give me a snack, I'm going to cry." And the mother says, "You could cry if you want, but you're still not going to get a snack." He stands in the corner from 4 p.m. and he starts to cry. Wah! Right? At 5 p.m., he decides to yell 1 octave higher. Wah! He doesn't stop. The mother doesn't break, but the mother doesn't break. His tears don't faze her. That's how she's able to create a sense of orderliness in the house. Otherwise, the house would fall apart. A man, however, can't be the ultimate disciplinarian because the tears melt his heart almost immediately. Imagine if this scenario was the reverse and the father told the son he's not getting a snack. The child knows that within 5 minutes, the father is going to give in to his antics. So he goes to his father after 5 minutes of crying with sniffles and he says, "Abba, can I please have a snack?" And the father adamantly refuses in the beginning. He says, "No, you didn't behave nicely. You're not getting a snack." So the little boy tries again and he says, "Abba, אני חוזר בתשובה. I'm going to repent." At this point, the father doesn't know what to do. Notice the stages of how the father ultimately breaks. He tells the child in a calmer voice, he says, "But you don't behave nicely." And the child says, Amma, I promise I'll behave. And he starts to cry, this little boy. At this point, the father's already swallowing hard and he says, are you gonna be a good boy? If you promise to be a good boy, you can have a snack. The father gives the son a snack, and the son walks away thinking, my father's such a pushover, my father's such a pushover. Right? Why? Because of the 2 tears that came down that child's face that melted the father's heart. Even though the father appears very manly, very macho, that's only the outside appearance. Deep down, he's very, very soft. A woman is the driving force in the house. She's the koach. She's the one that can actually maintain some form of order and discipline in the home. Why? Because her nature is din. But the man's nature is rachamim. As a side note, by the way, according to Sifrei Kabbalah, the woman comes from the left side, which is din, and the man comes from the right side, which is symbolic of rachamim. And the baby that's born comes from the middle point. When the husband and the wife come together to that middle point, which means v'hayu lebasar echad. How do a man and a woman attain oneness? V'hayu lebasar echad? Through that baby that's born. An amazing concept. Amazing concepts we're learning here. Ladies, your husbands come from the side of rachamim. And the men have to know their wives come from din. But what the men have to know, however, which is very important, they shouldn't think that din means cruelty, that din means harshness. No, din means strict justice. A woman uses the strict justice, the din, in order to create a balance in the home, because a man is rachamim. For this very reason, a woman should not be angry with her husband when he does not maintain discipline in the house. You have to teach him with patience and love how to be strong concerning certain circumstances that takes place in your house. And yes, a man's nature of being more compassionate, more passive, and letting things slide a little too quickly and a little too much does unfortunately create a problem in the home when it concerns the discipline of the children and the orderliness of the house. It does. The men out there have to know that they're not helping their wives when they're so maleh rachamim, this passiveness. But generally speaking, it's the father who almost always ends up the good guy in the eyes of the children, while the mother takes the role of the bad guy. Why does that happen? Because the mother says the word no more often than the father does. The father's a little bit more lax. His favorite word is yes, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, sure. Because with his yes, he could avoid conflict, he could avoid decision making. He doesn't want to have to deal with it. Why is it like this? Because he comes from the side of rachamim. Is that a good excuse? No. He's got to come back to the middle somewhere. But the point is that rather than being angry with your husband for not coming through, you have to teach him with patience and with love how to strengthen himself. Not only that, but you have to remember that his rachamim can help balance your nature of din. The rachamim sweetens the din, while the din balances the rachamim, which means nobody can come to each other with justifications. Like the man cannot come to the woman and say, you see, I'm from rachamim, so understand, every time I let things go, every time I'm not aware, every time I say yes, it's because of rachamim. No. It's not a good excuse. You have to come to some middle point, the guys out there. And the women, you can't be always din. You have to come also to the side of rachamim. You can't justify each other's characteristics because you're meant to come to some middle point together by helping one another. So now that we've reached this point of our lesson, there's something that as women, you all have to know. We all have to know this as women. A man looks burly, strong, and manly. But underneath all those layers of machoism lies a little boy. Now, I don't want to say a big baby, so instead I'll call him a little boy. I know I just called him a big baby. That's what he really is, but let's call him a little boy. He's a little boy who needs your love and warmth. You're going to have to take on the role of a mother, not just the mother of your children, the mother of this little boy, when it concerns your husband. So ladies, I'm going to share something that the Chachamim tell us. Your husband sees in you something that reminds him of his mother. I'm going to give you an example of how you could see this. Sometimes he could really annoy you with some of his complaints. He might say something like, how come you don't learn to make my favorite dish that my mother makes? Or he might say something like, nobody keeps a clean house like my mother. Ima sheli, ima. Many women complain that their husbands are always comparing them to their mothers. They get to the point where they tell their husbands, why don't you go marry your mother? Leave me alone already. Why'd you marry me? If you really wanted to marry your mother, you should have married your mother. These women aren't really paying attention to what their husbands are really telling them. They're needlessly getting hurt and agitated because there are times a husband sees his mother in his wife, and all he's really looking for is the same love and warmth that his mother used to provide him with. I'm going to explain it to you in another way. Imagine if your husband, and I'm going to exaggerate now, imagine if your husband approached you and said, can you please cook my favorite dish that my mommy makes? Can you please keep the house clean like my mommy does? Can you be my mommy? How does this intonation differ from the previous ones? You almost feel badly for this guy. But that's really what he's saying underneath all that pride and all that ego and machoism. Yeah, ladies, you could be your husband's mother in the sense that you care for him in the same way that his mother used to care for him, if not more. Because a man yearns for the love and the warmth that he received from his mother. But from where do we learn that a man's wife is like his mother? We learn it from the Torah HaKdosha, believe it or not. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Alav Shalom asks, why is the Torah called Torah? Because it comes from the word Hora'ah. Hora'ah means instruction. So where in this instruction manual do we see that you're like a mother to your husband? It's from the story that took place during Avraham Avinu's time, Alav Shalom. Avraham Avinu summoned his most trusted servant Eliezer, and he instructed him to travel to Padan Aram, which today is Iraq. And he wanted him to seek out a bride for Yitzchak from that country. Eliezer arrives to Padan Aram, and as he's standing there by the well, he recites a heartfelt prayer to the Ribono Shel Olam, saying, listen to these words, והיה הנערה אשר אומר אליה הטינה חדך ואשתה, and it will be that the maiden whom I will say to her, lower your pitcher so that I may drink, ואמרה שתה, וגם גמליך אשקה, and she will say to me, drink, and I will also water your camels, אותה הוכחת לעבדך ליצחק, her have you designated for your servant Yitzchak. Okay. Suddenly, Rivka comes to the well with a jug full of water. Eliezer sees her and he says, can you please give me some water from your jug? And she says the following words. She says, Shte Adoni, vatemaher kada al yada vatashkehu. She says, drink, my master. And she hastened, lowered her pitcher to her hand, and she gave him to drink. And then she says, Gam ligmalcha eshav ad im kilu lishtot. I will also draw for your camels until they have finished drinking, meaning until they're satiated. When Eliezer sees this, he immediately places bangles on her wrist and he gives her the engagement jewelry because he realized she was the one for Yitzchak. Only later, by the way, does he realize that she was really related to Yitzchak. Once Eliezer now works out the arrangements with Betuel and Lavan, he takes Rivka with all of her maidservants, and then they journey back to Eretz Canaan, to Eretz Yisrael. Rivka meets Yitzchak for the first time, and he says to her, "You should know, Rivka, that I heard a great deal about your acts of kindness. But before we proceed forward with this marriage, there's one more test that has to be passed. Do you agree to take this test?" And she agrees. And he asks her to come into his mother Sarah's tent. The pasuk says, "Vayeviyeha ohela Sarah imo," and he brought her into the tent of his mother Sarah. Chachamim tell us that when Yitzchak asked Rivka to enter Sarah's tent, he had something particular in mind. What was that? Rabbanim tell us that as long as Sarah was alive, there were 3 items that remained active concerning her tent. Number 1, there was a cloud that always hovered over her tent, a protective cloud. Number 2, there were candles that always remained miraculously lit from one Erev Shabbat to the next. And number 3, Sarah had a special bracha in her dough that it rose beautifully and tasted delicious. And these are symbolic of the 3 mitzvot that pertain to a Jewish woman. The cloud above Sarah's tent represents Taharat HaMishpacha. It represents the laws of family purity. The candles that remained lit represented the candles that women light every Friday night in honor of the Shabbat Kodesh. And the bracha in the dough represents the mitzvah of Hafrashat Chala. As long as Sarah was alive, these 3 items were active and they were visible. But when Sarah unfortunately passed away, Aleh Shalom, the cloud vanished, the candles burned out, and the dough wouldn't rise. Yitzchak asks Rivka to enter his mother's tent, and Chachamim say that at the moment that Rivka stepped foot into Sarah's tent, guess what happened? The cloud suddenly was visible over the tent. The candles miraculously became lit, and the dough began to rise. Ladies, listen to the pasuk again with different ears. Vayevieha Yitzchak ohela. And he brought her into the tent. Who did he bring into the tent? The pasuk ends with the words, Sarah imo, his mother Sarah. That's how he brought into the tent. Yitzchak saw in Rivka the same greatness that Sarah, his mother, acquired. What did Yitzchak see in his wife? His mother Sarah. Now let's analyze what happened after that. The pasuk says, Ve'ye'ehaveha vayinachem Yitzchak achrei imo. And he loved her and he was comforted for the loss of his mother. Rashi HaKadosh Alav Shalom explains the word achrei imo, and he says, listen to the wording, Derech eretz kol zman she'imo shel adam kayemet karuchu etzla. It's the way of the world, Rashi says, that as long as a man's mother is alive, as long as a person's mother is alive, he's attached to her. U'mi shemeta hu mitnachem beishto. But as soon as the mother dies, passes away, only then does he find comfort in his wife. Many women get upset over this Rashi, and they think that they now know who the problem in their life has always been. But ladies, this is the reality. As long as your husband's mother's shadow could be seen, it means that there's a semblance of her presence in your home. Your husband's mother is like the Luchot HaBrit. She's like Har Sinai. The husband's mother is something that's incomparable to anything out there. You have to face that reality. But after 120 years, when his mother departs from this world, you could become 100% your husband's mother, in the sense that you can now offer him all the tenderness and care that his mother provided. Therefore, ladies, you should try and be like a mother to your husband, even before the mother-in-law passes away. You should try to give him comfort. Be a little bit more passionate. Be a little bit more tender towards him. Try to be more loving. Think about the attributes of a mother. A mother is refined. She always cares for her children with such patience and with such love and unconditionally. The same way you treat your kids, the same way you tend and care for your kids, that's how you should tend and care for your husband. You have to have the attribute of a mother. Because think about it, when was the last time you asked your husband if he ate lunch? When was the last time you prepared him lunch? That's another question. When your husband comes home from work after a long day and you notice that he's pale, you know what you should ask him? You should say, honey, why are you so pale? You think you might be anemic? Maybe you're missing iron in your blood. Should I get you a vitamin? Should I make you some tea? Should I prepare you something? Isn't that how a mother would tend to her child? Ladies, you have a big boy in your house called husband. Take care of him. Call him every once in a while and ask him if he ate lunch. You know, I once asked a lady, do you ask your husband if he ate lunch? She says, what for? You've seen my husband. You think he looks malnourished? Is that the point, ladies? No. You need to demonstrate care and concern for your husband in the same way that a mother tends to a child. Now let me give you the following scenario and you think about how you would respond. Now let's assume that you live in Israel and your 19-year-old son is in the army. He's suddenly released from the base and he arrives home at 1:30 a.m. You're fast asleep in your room and you hear his footsteps coming into the house. You automatically wake up and you're thinking, oh, my precious son is home. I'm so happy. We're so worried about him. I'm so excited he's home. You get up, you walk to the kitchen and he says, Ima, I'm so hungry. Is there something to eat? What do you tell him? You say to him, don't say another word. Please lay down on this couch. Put your feet up. You prop up his pillows. You say to him, you must have had such an exhausting week. I'm so proud of you. I'm going to cook something for you right away while you wait. I'm going to make you hot chocolate. Wow. But if it was your husband, if it wasn't 1:30 in the morning, if it was 10 p.m., not 1:30, he comes home from a long day of work, starving. You're lying on the couch with your feet up, your eyes closed. You're almost at the stage where you're leaving this world and hovering already into dreamland. Your husband says, honey, I'm hungry. What do? You open one eye, right? And you say, you know there's such a thing as Gezel Shana. Why'd you have to wake me up now? I almost fell asleep. I'm not going to be able to fall back asleep now. Can't you make yourself an omelet or something? And you're still with your one eye open. Come on, did he have to wake me up? Tell me, I want to know, why is it that when your son disturbed your sleep at 1:30 at night, you were happy to get up and accommodate him, but when your poor husband at 10 p.m. asked you to make him something, you read him the Shulchan Aruch and sent him off to take care of himself? Why? You should treat your husband the way you would treat your child. A man is like a little boy. He yearns for warmth. He wants love. He wants a good dosage of tsumi. Tsumi is pampering. You know that? You know that a man also needs compliments? In the previous shiurim, we discussed the fact that a woman must hear compliments from her husband. But what about a man? Does he need to hear them too? He has to hear compliments from you. If he hammers in a nail in the wall for you because you wanted him to hang up a picture that you wanted on that wall, you should be praising that guy for the next 2 days. Why? Because until he actually hung up the picture, it took him 6 months. 6 months you're begging this guy to hang up the picture. Now, why didn't he hang it up already? I'm going to tell you why. Because on the day that he finally found the hammer, he misplaced the nails. After 2 months, he finally found the nails, and misken, when he tried to hammer the nail into the wall, he hit his thumb and was out of commission for another 2 months. Finally, after 6 months, he finds the nails, he has the hammer in his hand, and he manages to hammer the nail into the wall without hurting himself, and the picture is now on the wall. And you don't say a word, you don't give him a compliment. Now, you know a man who doesn't hear a compliment, he's just going to start praising himself. He's going to look at the picture, he's going to say, Miriam, how's the picture? Right, I put the nail in the wall so nicely. Look how straight the nail is. Isn't that amazing? Look how the picture is sitting straight. Eze yofi. Giveret, you have to stand there and praise this guy. You have to tell him, Shimon, it's amazing. If you only came into this world to hammer in nails into the world, Dayenu, you're super fabulous. What a baal I have, what a husband. And that's if he put a nail into the wall for you. If he changed your faucet, you have to make a Hanukkah tabayit for such an occasion. Ladies, you should pay more attention to the things your husband does around the house that benefits you, and you should compliment his efforts. Because if you don't, then you're going to wonder why he has more of an affinity to his mother than to you. So let me show you now, let me demonstrate to you the difference between you and his mother. And I am going to only use an example of a Sephardic mother because, I've seen Ashkenazic mothers and it's pretty much almost the same. But I know Sephardic mothers, so I'm giving that example. And I want you to notice how his mother asks him to change a light bulb in her house. Notice how the mother asks her son to change the light bulb in the house. She calls him up and she says in the gentlest tone, Shalom, Beni Ayakar, Shalom, my son. I just wanted you to know that from the day you were born, a great light came to the world. And the sun just doesn't seem to set. My son, אתה חיים שלי, אתה עיניים שלי, אוהבת אותך, אתה מתוק. Ebony, my son, you feel like coming over for a delicious lunch I prepared for you. Notice how she didn't even bring up the light bulb. And he says, Ima, of course I'm going to come. What did you make? And she says, oh, I made you your favorite dish. He gets all excited. And that's when she says, Chamudi sheli, Chamudi, neshama tova. Only if you have time. But only if you have time and it's not going out of your way. Please, bevakasha. If you could buy a 60-watt bulb, I'd really appreciate it because the light in the living room went out. But don't worry, my dear son, even if you can't do it, it's okay. Don't worry, no pressure. I could stay in the dark another week. Don't worry. Ladies, he hangs up the phone, marches to the store, puts on construction boots, and he heads out to his mother's house with a toolbox in his hand. He knocks on his mother's door. His mother opens the door and says, my son, Benny, my son. She kisses him on the left cheek, she kisses him on the right cheek, she hugs him, and then she takes him by the hand, bo. He says, Ima, where's the light bulb? I want to change the light bulb. She says, forget the light bulb right now, bo. Come eat. And she feeds him such a hearty good meal. He's satiated. After the meal, he says, Ima, which light bulb do you need changed? I want to change the bulb. She says, again with the light bulb? Never mind that now, my son. Please go rest a little. Lie down on the couch, put your feet up. You're probably so tired from work. He rests for a half hour, and then he gets up and he says, Ima, I'm going to change the light bulb now. She says, now? do you know what I prepared for you while you were sleeping? Homemade chocolate cake. First, I want you to have a piece with a cup of coffee. He sits, he enjoys the cake, he enjoys the coffee, and then he makes his way to the living room to change his mother's light bulb. While he's on that chair changing the bulb, she starts first of all to recite Tehillim that he shouldn't fall, and she says, please, Ribono Shel Olam, please, take care of my son, he shouldn't fall from that chair, please be careful of this, Shimon, be careful, I don't want you to fall and hurt yourself, Neshama Tova, oh. And if he slightly just thinks, he goes, oh, he changes the bulb, then he asks her to flick on the switch, see if everything is good. As soon as the light goes on, she starts to yell, Eliyahu Navi, Eliyahu Navi, Yehi Or, you're a genius, Eze Malach. And as he's about to leave a house, she says, Rega, wait, where are you going? You can't leave empty-handed. Ladies, your husband invested 79 cents on that bulb and he left his mother's house with $100 worth of groceries. You understand why your husband doesn't mind changing the light bulb for his mother? And you? How do you approach your husband when you need something done in the house? Shimon, since we got married, I feel like I'm living in a cave. The world is suddenly a darker place. And he says, well, why are you speaking that way? What happened? What's going on? And she says, what do you mean what happened? Didn't you see that the light bulbs are out? We've been living in the darkness for a week. You have eyes. You don't see. I have to point things out to you. Why don't you change the bulb already? That's how you talk. What a different approach this is from his mother, no? Where's the darling? Where's the sweetie? Where's the special dish? Where's the cake? Where's relax please on the couch? Where are all the compliments? And he's still asking you nicely, so when do you want me to change the bulb? And you say, what do you mean? I just told you we're in the dark. You change it right away, right now. Poor guy gets a chair. He stands on it in order to change the bulb. You stand there and you say, Shimon, do me a favor. Make sure you don't get electrocuted because the last time you tried to change the bulb, you short-circuited the entire electricity and we had to call an electrician to fix the problem. You don't remember how much money we spent on that last time? What a misken this guy is. A misken. Ladies, start to incorporate attributes of his mother. Your husband sees his mother in you. And interestingly, a woman sees her father in her husband. A man sees his mother in a wife. When you get married, Bekitzur, it's one big PTA. What should I tell you? But anyway, moving on. Always feed your husband on time. A man who doesn't eat on time can become very dangerous, ladies. Keep a mental note in your mind that reads the following. Hungry husband equals uptight husband. When a man is not fed on time, he sees everything in a negative light. When he eats, he calms down. So women have to see to it that their husbands always have food waiting for them when they come home. As soon as he comes home from work, you don't start talking to him about the problems of the day, the chutzpah of the children, the problem in the schools, your own dilemma at work. You immediately sit him down and give him something small to eat so that he's relaxed and calm. Also, by the way, a man enjoys eating real foods. Never give a man a measly meal. You don't offer him leben and cornflakes when he comes home from work. A lot of ladies do that. You have to prepare a warm soup, nice whole wheat roll, small salad, just to satiate his stomach to begin with. After that, he's going to be calm. Then you could start talking to him a little bit, and then you could finish the rest of the meal later. But the point is you feed the guy, and feed him nicely. This is for the men. The pasuk concerning the Chagim says, V'samachta bechagecha ata uvincha ubitecha. You have to rejoice in the holidays, you your sons and your daughters. How do we make a child happy on the Chag? The Gemara says we let him play and we offer him candies and treats. So the Gemara asks, B'ma mesamchim isha? How do we make a woman happy? Chachamim answer, Tachshitim ubigdei tziv'onim, with jewelry and colorful clothing. Guys, a woman likes to adorn herself on the Chag with jewelry, and she enjoys nice clothing. We always try to encourage the men to buy a piece of jewelry for their wives prior to a main Chag. Now, because a man doesn't necessarily have the best taste when it comes to clothing, you could also offer your wife a gift certificate at a store that she enjoys shopping in. Or you could give her a few dollars to buy herself something special for the Chag. Also, just a small tip to the men out there, never give a woman a gift that hasn't been wrapped appropriately. Women like accessories. They enjoy the ribbons and the bows and all the paraphernalia that comes with the gift. They love the idea that a man took the time to wrap the gift and to buy the accessories. And one more thing to the men out there. Always add a nice card and write your message on that card so she could feel special. You may not be the biggest poet on the planet, but you have a heart. And somehow you managed to share that heart with your wife before you married her. Somehow you always know what to say as a chatan. You managed to spew out these pearls of romance and amazing closeness. A man should take the time to make his wife feel special through the gift that he bestows upon her. But a big time no-no would be the following. You go to the store and you buy her a scarf. Another scarf that you add to her already hundreds of scarves collection. And you bought it because you didn't want to take the time to ask her what she likes or what she could actually use. And then you put that Century 21 bag with the scarf that you bought on her bed, forgetting to remove the price tag from the scarf. She walks into the bedroom. She sees the Century 21 bag and she knows someone's been shopping at a bargain outlet. She looks into the bag. She sees a scarf with a receipt that reads $12 and a big red circle that says 50% off. She comes over to you and she asks, what's that scarf on my bed? And you say, oh, that I got that for you. This is a big time no-no. If you do that, you could be sure you're going to be eating Lebanon and cornflakes that night. That's for sure. A woman likes to feel that she's special to her husband, that he took the time to consider her, that he wasn't just looking to get things over with, or that he was trying to find the cheapest bargain in the quickest amount of time. A woman is filled with sensitivities. So take the time to make the gift that you purchased something that's meaningful in her eyes. And you should know that in the eyes of a woman, the most meaningful part of your gift will be the words that you inscribe on that card. You see, what a man should remember is that the jewelry he buys may one day break or be lost. The sweater you bought is one day going to fade and it's going to get discarded. The book that you may have bought your wife is going to be read and then it's going to be put on that shelf. But the card that you write is put away in a very special drawer that every woman keeps. In that drawer are all the cards that a husband writes to his wife. All the cards you ever wrote to her are in that drawer. All the wishes of the cards that she hopes you're going to write to her are in that drawer. These cards that a man writes to his wife escort her until her last day. So men should make it a point to go out of their way for their wives when it concerns the gifts that they're going to purchase. But how can a woman make her husband happy? Point number 2 in this whole discussion, make sure that when he comes home, there's always a smile on your face, positive words that you share, a compliment that you give, and a warm meal. So it turns out that it doesn't take too much to make a man happy, or to give him a little bit of TLC. He needs warmth. He needs love. He needs a positive word here and there. He needs a good meal. He needs to feel that you're looking out for him. It's really very simple. Men do not require much to be satisfied and pleased. By the way, women have been writing into me already. They want to know, we've been doing men's characteristics. What about women's characteristics? Because they want their husbands to hear. Women's characteristics is very complex. So I've left that part of the series for the very, very, very end. Very, very end. But until the next time when we're going to discuss criticism and arguments in the house, I want to wish you all an amazing day with bracha and atzlacha, tremendous shalom in your house, and you should both be zeicha to be as one, ve'yu lebasar echad, and witness the Mashiach this year, bekarov mamash.